Hello and welcome to my first video in my beginner series for Star Citizen. My name is Heimdall. I am a relative newcomer to Star Citizen. I've only been playing for about 6 months now. I've been using YouTube videos to fill in a lot of the gaps in my knowledge, and I keep coming across videos that are pretty well done, but they miss a few details that really make the game much easier to play. This video is going to start from how you get into the verse all the way to doing your first jump and landing. We're going to cover quite a few details along the way. For more detailed information on some things, I'm going to make future videos. My next video after this one is going to be a salvage guide, and then we're going to do mining and contract guides for each contract tree. But let's get into it, guys. So our first screen we're going to see when we get into the game is going to be this right here, and it's our module selection. One of the neat things about Star Citizen is that when you think about it, you're getting 3 games for the price of 1, right? I bought this in the United States. It's about $40 to get my starter pack that I started with, and that gave me access to 3 different modules. The first module is the Persistent Universe, and that's your main game. That's where you can go do all the things Star Citizen has to offer. Fantastic place. Next up is our Star Marine. For you guys coming over from COD or Battlefield, this is your first-person shooter, team-based game right here. It's a lot of fun. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in it, but the few matches I've done, I really enjoyed it. I think it's done pretty well. Our last option here is Arena Commander, and Arena Commander is a flight sim sub game. So you can get in there, you can try out different ships, you can fly any ships that you own in your RSI hangar. It's a great place to go practice if you're wanting to get into ship combat, but you're not quite sure of your skills. You can go into Arena Commander and shore those up. On our right side here, we have our friends list and our notifications list. I'm not going to touch on the friends list too much. It's pretty straightforward. Click to add friends, type their name in, you get all that. One thing to know about the notifications box here is, let's say you're playing, you're found a friend in game, and you're having a lot of fun, and they sent a friend invite and you missed it or didn't know where to look because you didn't watch this video any further. When you go to exit, if you exit to menu instead of quit game, that friend request is going to be down here in this box. You might scroll a bit, but it's going to be there. So it's kind of neat. It's also neat you can party up from the main menu here. You don't have to be in game to party up, which is great if you've got some friends you want to play with. Y'all can party up from the main menu. Party lead can launch into the game, and it's going to bring you all in together, and you won't have to try and figure out who's on what server, how do I get there. It's all just ready to go. That's one of those neat things. It's not really talked about a lot, but it's super helpful to know if you're wanting to do any kind of multi-crew stuff in the game. We'll go ahead and click on our Persistent Universe. Now, if this is your very first time logging in, it might be a bit different for you. It might bring up the character creation screen, and that's where you'll set how your character will look. I'll open this. You'll change. You can change your gender. You can change the face. You can change your hairstyles. You can do all sorts of neat little things. I like how my dude looks, kinda. So I'm gonna go ahead and click accept. From there, it's going to take you to a screen that looks a little bit like this, but it's going to ask you where you want your primary residence. Now you have 4 options, and none of them are wrong. They each have their own pros and cons. I really recommend, if you're a new player, to set Area 18. I'll touch on that a little more later, but the cons for Area 18 are pretty low and the pros are pretty high, especially for new players who aren't sure how to go find a whole bunch of things yet. You know, it's all right there for you. One more thing we're going to talk about on the screen before we go into the verse is our server location. Best is not always best. You'll notice there's 4 different selections here, one for each continent. You know, if you're in game and you're having some connectivity issues server side, you know, you can back out here, select a different server location. You know, let's say I want to go into the Australian server. I could do that. So say Aus, and then I just click here, good to go. We're going to go back to best. It's been pretty stable today. And I'm going to go ahead and enter the verse. Alright. So we're in the verse now, and let's go ahead and get out of bed. So a lot of people's first thought is going to be to just push W, like you're going to walk out of the bed, and there's a good chance that'll work. There's also an equally good chance you're going to get the bed bug, which is where you get stuck in the bed frame and you can't get out. However, there is a way around all that, and that is, instead of pushing W, we're going to hold F and look off on the side. See how the bed highlighted? We're going to click where it says get up. F is your interaction key. It is an amazing little tool. A little clunky at first, but you get used to it pretty quick. So Star Citizen uses the standard FPS movement buttons. If you're using mouse and keyboard, you can use a controller. You can use HOTAS or HOSAS sticks, any number of input options. I'm going to assume, for simplicity's sake, we're using a keyboard and mouse. So to walk forward, we're just going to push W. To walk backwards, we're going to push S. To strafe to the left, we're going to push A. To strafe to the right, we're going to push D. To crouch is left control. Stand back up, left control. To go prone is X. And to stand back up, X again. And finally we have space to jump. Looking around is controlled with your mouse. Pretty straightforward. If you want to view yourself from a different perspective, we're in first person now. If I push F4, it puts me in third person. While I'm in third person, I can zoom out one more time by pushing F4 again. And if I want a free look, I just hold the Z key, or Z for any my Brit friends watching here, and scroll around with my mouse, and I can see everything going around. Alright, let's go ahead and get out of the room. I'm going to walk up here, I'm going to hold F, see how it highlighted, and click open, and we're out. Now we're going to look for an elevator. Let's get out of this building. We've got stuff to do. Gotta get out there on the verse, folks. Call elevator. Hold F again and click on it. And wait for it to come on up. Alright. Now that we're inside, we're going to look for ground floor. Depending on where you're at, this might say lobby. Either one works. That's just how we're going to get out of this building. Alright. I'm going to walk out here. I love the skyline here. It's very 80s sci-fi. But that's not what we're here for. I'm going to show you the biggest reason why I recommend Area 18 as a starting zone. That building there is the habitation units. This building here is Cubby Blast, and they sell pretty much anything you could need to play this game. We're gonna wait our turn. Sorry for the shift of the camera there. I wasn't sure how long that fella was gonna take, and he didn't disappoint. It's a solid 10 minutes. Alright, so we're in here. Now all your vendor screens are gonna look pretty similar to this. Might have different color schemes, but it's gonna work the same. Right? We're on the buy side. We're looking at our destination here. The destinations can be either your ships, the local storage that you have at different installations, or if you have equipment that has storage spots on it, it can be there. First thing we're going to need is an undersuit though. I spawned back in after a death, so let's scroll down. You can buy whichever one you want. Now we're going to wait until that transaction complete thing pops up. We're going to go up to our armor. There's 3 different tiers of armor. There's, well, you could argue 4. There's a flight suit, which is just a suit, doesn't have anything else on it. There's light armor, which has limited storage capacity, usually the least amount of temperature protection. However, you do run faster when you're wearing lighter armor, and your stamina, your heart rate, stays under control significantly longer. Medium armor is a good balance, because medium armor, it's right there in the name, it's in the middle. Doesn't have any major problems, looks pretty well. Heavy armor, I personally haven't noticed a major difference in terms of it actually protecting me. So to me, the only big benefit of heavy armor would be if you are trying to do things that required you to have more storage on your person. Alright. So let's get... You don't have to buy all this stuff when you first start. There's only a couple things you need to make sure you have. I'm really particular. I like a certain set of equipment, and conveniently it's all sold right here. If I want to buy in bulk, I click buy down here, and I can change the amount. The one thing that you need to buy, and make sure you always have on you, is this multi-tool. It is the most important piece of equipment you can have in this game. As you can see, there's different things. There's suppressors, and there'll be optics at the bottom. We're going to look at these attachments. The cutter attachment, I'm not even really sure what it's for. I know it goes on the multi-tool, but I haven't seen a game loop for it yet. The mining attachment, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is the one you need. You've got to make sure you've got a tractor beam attachment to go on your multi-tool. I'm going to grab my last little bit of things that I like to have. So my optics, flashlight, and laser pointer. Alright, that's everything I'm going to buy here. I'll go ahead and back up, get out of the way, so everybody else needs to use it they can. Please don't screen hog, folks. If you're done at the terminal, just step aside. We're going to push eyes on India to open up our inventory. Let's go ahead and put some clothes on. Start with your undersuit first, and then a helmet. And then just drag and drop. See how it's giving me those blue circles? It's telling me where stuff goes. Alright. Got all my stuff put on. There's my rifle. Now, weapon choice and all that is absolutely a personal preference thing. I like this rifle because It seems to be the easiest one to find ammo for if I'm out doing missions. You don't need optics or lights or suppressors to enjoy the game. I just like those things. But if you've got slots for stuff, you can just click equip all and it's going to put the stuff on there for ammo, any of that stuff. I'm going to go over utility. Alright, and here's our multi-tool. If you don't pay attention to anything else I talk about in this section, remember to put your multi-tool on and then put your tractor beam in your multi-tool. Because nothing's more frustrating than flying halfway across the verse, thinking you're about to do something, and then realizing I don't have my tractor beam. It is infuriating. I like to carry a little bit of water on me. It's just a personal thing again. A lot of folks don't. Alright. Let's go catch a train. Oh, I missed one thing. I gotta go get a med pin. We're gonna run over to the hospital real quick. So, every location in Star Citizen, especially the cities, they have a lot of signs up. So this is Zone 3. You know, that's how they want you to get around. There's not a zoomed in mini map like a lot of other MMOs use. You know, it is much more on the individual to figure out where stuff is. But if you can't find something, ask in chat. You know, the community's been pretty great. I haven't ran into a whole lot of jerks. I mean, it happens, but alright, now we're ready to go catch the train. Alright, so we'll run out here. So every planet has a public transportation system. Every city on each planet has a public transportation system, and that's how you get between different sectors. Here they call them trams. Orison, it's the shuttle system. New Babbage and Lorville both use trains. I'm going to speed this up now. No point in you guys having to sit here and watch. Alright, we've arrived at Riker Memorial Spaceport. Let's go get our ship out. Just run through all this. To sprint, you hold left shift. You can set it to toggle, but I wouldn't recommend it because you can actually run your character, sprint your character to death.
To the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
What I just ran up to, these are called ASOP terminals. This is where you get your ship out.
ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
We're going to call out the Avenger Titan. It's one of the starter ships. If you haven't bought a ship yet and you can afford a little extra, I would highly recommend the Titan starter pack. It's not here though, so I need to file a claim.
Your insurance claim
Now I can expedite that, and it's going to send it. Some ships, if you go to expedite, it's going to cut the timer down, but it's still not going to be instant. See, I file a claim there, and if I were to click it now, that's how long it would take to still get here. Our Titan's here. We're going to go ahead and click retrieve.
Your vehicle has been delivered to the following
We're going to
location.
wait until it tells us where it's at. Alright, we're going to Hangar 3, guys. Let's run on over to our elevators. Call the elevator.
For the latest travel information, be sure to check the departure and arrival boards conveniently located throughout the spaceport.
Elevators always kind of trip me out in this game because they just kind of teleport places. There's no way there was an elevator shaft running over here, but alright, I'll buy it. Alright, there's the beautiful penguin himself. Our Aegis Titan. If you're not sure what starter ship to get, once again, I can't stress how great this ship is for starters. You know, you can do a little bit of everything. See, it's got a big gun up front. You can do a little bit of PvE, bounty hunting. You know, it's got a ramp in the back, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're wanting to do box missions, having a ramp is so much better. It's got a cargo area. It's got a bed. You know, everything you need to get started in the game, and it's all right there. We're going to enter our pilot seat here. Alright, now we're going to talk about key bindings. I know, super fun topic. We're only worried about one key binding. Prior to 3.18, there was no official keybind to request takeoff and landing, which you have to do to be able to leave if you're in a hangar. In 3.18, the official key binding for it was set as left alt and N, which is not a bad keybind. I prefer something different. So I'm going to push escape. I'll click over the options, key bindings, and advanced controls. I'm going to do flight movement. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of flight movement, where it says request landing. See, I have it set to F3. Double click whatever it says there, push the button you want, good to go. Back out, return to game. Alright, let's turn this ship on and get going. I'm going to push R for Romeo. I'll power the whole thing up. F3.
You are clear to launch.
Alright, and he just told me I'm good to go. I use that perspective we talked about to switch perspective to F4. I can make sure I'm not about to smash into something. Open. To lift the ship up, I'm holding space. That will lift your ship directly up. Moving around in the ship is just like moving around in person. W accelerates the thrusters forward.
Thank
S
you. And please visit
reverse thrust. A scoots it to the left. D scoots it to the right. And you see that little X, that's actually where my momentum is carrying. So if I start trying to strafe, it's going to turn it. To boost, I hold left shift. Let's talk about some of the user interface things that are going on here. So on the left, you'll see this bar right here. This is our velocity meter. Think of it like a speedometer, right? Whatever's in this little box is your current speed in meters per second. This blue area is your SCM speed. And I keep trying to remember to get in there and look up what that actually stands for, but I can't, I always forget. So what I do know is that if you're in the blue area, your ship has what you can think of as its maximum maneuverability. If you're in the red, yes, you are traveling faster and your ship can travel. This ship's top speed is different, but this ship's is around, I want to say 1100 meters per second for an actual maximum. Now if I go up into the red, my ship's ability to turn is reduced. And the further into the red I get, the more of a reduction you get. And that's a very simplistic way to think of it, but I find that that is the best way to think about it, because you won't end up getting yourself in the early game into a fight you can't handle. Over here on the right is our ammunition counters for our weapons. Now, the one that says 265, our Mantis, that is actually a ballistic Gatling gun. Ballistic ammunition doesn't recharge. Stuff that I control with my right click Those are laser repeaters. Think of them like laser machine guns. Those do recharge. I'm not going to talk about some of the more advanced stuff in this video for flight. We're just going to cover the basics. Alright, we're up in space. We're into orbit. So let's talk about some of our other keys that affect things in our ship. So first we have cruise control. Now you may see this little arrow popped up. What that's saying is that our ship is going to do its best to maintain that speed no matter what, unless we turn it off. We'll go ahead and turn that off. See the ship starts slowing down. Now if you're wondering what this little box right here is, that little box is our maximum speed that we have set. So if I accelerate up to it, it's going to stop right there. If I want to let it go faster, I scroll forward with the mouse wheel. If I want to slow it down, I scroll backwards with the mouse wheel. This reticle here in the middle, you may notice that little line moving. That's telling you where you're trying to turn the ship, right? The longer the line, the more dramatic the turn. We also have some other things that are important to note here. Our fuel gauges. Hydrogen is used for boosting around. Quantanium is used for jumping from planet to planet. Alright, let's talk about our Mobiglass. If you push F1, we'll bring up this fancy wristwatch device that controls a lot of our interaction things. So from the main screen in our Mobiglass, we can see a lot of things. We can see our current amount of money we have. We can see our crime stat if we have one. We can see a quick view of our personal health. So if we've been in a firefight and we got wounded, we can see it here. You can also see our heart rate, but if you're able to pull your Mobiglass up, your heart rate's probably fine. Same thing, our vehicle status. We can track a vehicle for a target, but if you're tracking a vehicle for a target, probably not opening your Mobiglass on purpose. And we can see missions tracked. The O2 stuff doesn't have a lot of stuff going on right now in game, but I've been reading that they are working on that for EVA flight. First thing we're going to look at though is our comm link. Now I can't control what people say in the chat, so I'm going to skip over to a different channel. And this global chat disappeared. This channel here is just the chat channel for my ship if I had other people in it. If I wanted to view friends, I click friends, see who's online, send a party invite by right clicking on them. If I go over to pending, if I had any party invites that I hadn't accepted yet or friend invites that I wanted to accept, they'd be sitting over here. If I click these squares here in the bottom, it's going to take us back to our main menu. Next up is our vehicle loadout. Now we can't do anything with this in our current location. You have to have landed somewhere, stored your ship, and then you can pull this up and it'll pull up a little thing for you to change out parts, paints, weapons, all sorts of little things. We'll go back here. This is knickknacks, and this is something I didn't really know about until recently. But knickknacks is actually rather helpful because let's say you know you're going to travel somewhere and you want to make sure you have equipment there. For instance, let's say I'm flying to Port Tressler in Microtech. Well, I click on that and then I can see everything that I have stored at Port Tressler. Alright. This is our Skyline star map. While we're here already, we're going to go ahead and talk about how this works. This does seem to be not quite the best part of the game yet, although I know for a fact they are working on an update to the star map, which I'm looking forward to a lot. From the overview, if we put our mouse cursor somewhere and scroll in, it's going to scroll, right? You can scroll back out, it's going to scroll out. If I want it to zoom on its own, I can double left click. Normally there will be little spheres here for the planets and moons. I'm getting a little bit of bug right now, so it's not showing up. But I know I want to fly to Everest Harbor. That's in the Hurston system. So I'll scroll in, I'll click on where I want to go, and I'm going to click Set Route. Alright, now I want to go back to our overview. What I did there was just double right click and it took me right back out. Alright, next up is our Mo Trader, and this is how you send and so you send money to other players. Just for example here, I'm going to send this person 10,000 credits. There's a 0.5% service fee. Send it. There we go. She got some money. Alright, I do that every time. Reopen our moving glass here. That's F1. Let's go to our contract manager. This is where we get our missions from, right? Anything that we want to do and get paid for sure, we do our missions. Now there's two different types, well, three different types of contracts that are available. On the general side, all general contracts are going to be lawful. You can take it if you complete it and you do exactly what it tells you. You're not going to have any problems. You're not going to have to worry about getting a crime stat. If you're wanting to live on the other side of the law, which is completely up to the individuals, you can come over to the personal. Now for personal, you're going to want to read who it's from and what they're asking you to do. So this mission right here would not be a criminal mission. However, this one doesn't want to tell me who it's from, and they're asking me to rob a bank. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to be looked upon kindly by the authorities here in Stanton system. We're going to go back to Mercenary real quick, and we're going to accept Call to Arms. This is the one mission contract you want to have up at all times, because anytime that you kill a criminal in game, it's going to give you at least 500 credits. So why not? You never know what's going to happen, so might as well just take it. Now down here you can see I have the option of abandoning it. I would not recommend abandoning contracts because it will affect reputation. I can track or untrack it if it's a contract with objectives. When I track it, it's going to tell me where I need to go to do what I'm trying to do. Alright, we go back to our main menu. We'll touch on vehicle maintenance when we land. I'm not going to waste anybody's time with the journal, but this is important. This is Delphi, and this is where you track your reputation. So any faction that you do missions for, you can track your reputation with them. If you want to see where a faction is, you can go to their dossier, and it's normally going to tell you in here. See here it says Blackjack looks at matters on other worlds, but at the same time ArcCorp established our security force. So it's telling you that Blackjack's the ArcCorp security team. Alright, so we've set a beacon. We know where we're trying to go. Let's go ahead and close that down. To turn on your quantum drive, push B as in boy. It's going to pull this thing up. You'll see the two numbers, percentages. Once they're both at 100%, you're good to go, and you're going to hold B again, and it's going to launch you.